welcome those who are watching online, especially Tom, who's usually back in the AV, who's probably at home in his pajamas watching us, as many are. But we also have to give a shout out to Eric, who's looking really sharp today. I mean, look at that guy. He's killing it. Let's share the peace of Christ with your neighbors, whatever you're dressed like. Friends, you're lucky, especially if you're a visitor, you're lucky today. This is a short message. 3 pages, that's all it is. We can just throw one at a time and it'll be all done. It's a short message about how the most holy rituals, it's about the most holy rituals that our church observes. Now, some of you grew up, at least like Paul is there, I don't know who else, grew up with 7 sacraments in your church. Baptism, Eucharist, confirmation, confession, last rites, marriage, and priesthood. Did anyone hit all 7? Yeah, well, maybe not all, but some of you grew up that way, right? You know those. Some of you grew up in churches with like 6 ordinances or 9 or 24. I literally live with a professional Mormon, and we couldn't figure out how many ordinances they have, but it's the same thing. It's the same idea. Some of you might have grown up in churches that do not believe in any sacrament because your religion, it's like God was over here and we were over there and never the twain shall meet because something's so holy and something so whatever that is. And some of you, many of you, grew up in churches with exactly two sacraments, baptism and communion. Where God, in those things, the idea, just the basic idea, God shows up in some special way, but there's other, fancy rituals, fun things like ashes or foot washing that hopefully we never have to do in real life here, but, that's what it is. Some of you just didn't grow up in a church at all, so the whole concept is just foreign to you, and some of you are still growing up right now, and you're wondering, why can't we be on the rainbow? Because the rainbow is supposed to happen before this guy stands up here and talks. Well, don't worry. I promise we're going to have 2 rainbows for the kids of the church today, which is a lot, twice as many. But friends, we come to these holiest moments, this table and this font, that's the word for it. I was looking not at the font there. We come to these things with such a wide array of experiences. Some of us none, some of us lots of different kinds of experiences. But we can start the question just, what is a sacrament? What's the basic that we can all agree, what's a sacrament? 1, a sacrament is a visible sign, 2, of God's invisible grace or love. 3, and our performance of the sacraments is supposed to somehow seal God's grace or love onto us somehow. And that's too much to write, but if you're a note taker, I can do it quicker. A sacrament is a visible sign that stamps us with an invisible grace. So whether it's the table or whether it's the font, it's a little bit like we are performing God's tattoo. We are jamming that into our soul and saying this sticks. One we do a lot, one we do once. So what does that mean? A sign. A sacrament is a sign, a symbol, a story. It's not just a story. I hate the phrase just a story. Some stories matter precisely because they're stories. If they weren't stories, they wouldn't matter. The story you tell about how you met your spouse or your partner or your loved one, that carries a lot of weight the rest of your life. It shapes a bit of the direction you're going. When you revisit that story, you realize the pathways it's created for who you are. When you challenge those stories, it can shake you to your core. Because stories affect who we are, who we become, and how we love each other. In the same sort of way, sacraments, these things, they cast a vision of how God's love it kind of frames us and forms us. And words are always around. Churches are full of words. Sometimes we sing them, sometimes we talk them, sometimes we're silent. But this is more than words. This is a performance. And the power in that performance, kind of how it matters, how it's supposed to be able to transform your life if you approach with attention and reverence or with anxiety and exhaustion. And if the church approaches these tables with if we can build a sacred container together so that everyone's ready for it. The power of these sacraments is about our desire to rehearse the love of God. Not as just